Imagine two people, Sarah and Mike. They both start retirement on the exact same day, January 1st, 2025. They are both financial professionals. They have both saved exactly $1,200,000. They both need to withdraw $48,000 this year to live. They are both invested in the exact same index funds. And over the course of the next 20 years, their portfolios earned the exact same average annual return of 7%. You would assume logically that their retirement accounts would end up in the same place, that they would both thrive. But here is the terrifying truth. 15 years from now, Mike is broke. He has run out of money and is forced to sell his house to survive. Sarah, meanwhile, has over $1,400,000 left in her account and is living comfortably. How is this possible? If the returns were the same, how did one person end up financially ruined and the other succeed? The answer is simple, shocking, and is almost never taught in financial literacy courses. It is the hidden risk that proves averages are meaningless in retirement planning. It is called sequence of returns risk. If you are someone who believes that as long as you hit your savings number, you are safe, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, because today I am going to prove to you that when you retire matters more than how much you retire with. The fundamental flaw in most retirement planning is relying on the average return. When you use a calculator, you plug in 7% or 8%, and the calculator assumes you get that return every single year. This is a fatal assumption. In retirement, the order of your returns is exponentially more important than the average. Mike retired in a bad year. His first 3 years of retirement were brutal. He started with $1 million, and after 3 years where he faced a minus 5% loss followed by a minus 10% loss, followed by a 20% gain, he was forced to sell his investments at a loss just to pay his rent. This is what we call negative compounding, and it is financial poison. He sold low, guaranteeing those funds would not be there to participate in the eventual recovery. Now, let us look at Sarah. She was lucky. She got the exact same returns as Mike, but they were reversed in her first 5 years. She started with a 20% gain, followed by a minus 10% loss, followed by a minus 5% loss. After the exact same 3 years of returns, she was also down, but she benefited from positive compounding early on. She had already built a financial cushion. Crucially, the average return for both Sarah and Mike is identical. But Mike entered a death spiral he could never escape. Sarah thrived. This hyper-concentrated risk period in the first decade of retirement is what I call the red zone. It is a 10-year period where market timing is everything. You cannot predict the market, but you can build a defensive moat. The bucket strategy is the single most effective way to manage sequence of returns risk. The first is the cash mode, holding 3 to 5 years worth of living expenses entirely in cash to protect against immediate volatility. Next, you have the bond buffer, holding 5 to 7 years worth of expenses in intermediate term bonds. This is your defense in depth. Finally, the growth engine holds everything else in your aggressive stock portfolio, knowing this money has a 10+ year time horizon. Beyond buckets, you must employ a dynamic withdrawal strategy. If your portfolio is down 15%, you commit to cutting your spending by 5 to 10%. Finally, the most potent defense is creating a temporary flexible income stream. If Mike had earned even $20,000 consulting for the first 5 years, his portfolio would have survived. Sequence of returns risk is not a death sentence. Embrace the buckets, adopt dynamic withdrawals, and beat the market's bad timing. The problem is that most people approach risk backwards. In the accumulation phase, when you are working and saving, volatility is your friend. When the market dips, your money buys more shares, and you want market crashes in your 20s and 30s. The sequence of your returns does not matter much then. But in the distribution phase, when you stop adding new capital and start making mandatory withdrawals, volatility is now your enemy. A crash in the first decade of retirement is catastrophic because you are selling assets at a loss, locking in that loss just to cover your monthly bills. This hyper-concentrated risk period in the first decade of retirement is what I call the red zone. It is a 10-year period where market timing is everything, and a single bad sequence can lead to failure. You cannot predict the market, but you can build a defensive moat around your red zone. The goal is simple. Eliminate the need to sell stocks during a market downturn. Every year, if the market has been positive, you simply refill the cash moat from the gains in the growth engine. If the market has crashed, you wait. The psychological toll of this risk is immense because it happens at the moment you are supposed to be celebrating your freedom. But you cannot let fear paralyze you. The solution is not to save $5 million. The solution is to acknowledge the red zone and build the proper defenses. Don't let averages lull you into a false sense of security. Hit like if this video exposed a major risk you did not know about.